Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Charade Maniacs, and we are continuing. Well, now actually we're full in Akase's route right now, so sort of continuing his route, but also actually in his route, not the common route leading into. So, anyway, the day after Akase, Chigasaki, Dazai, and I played with fireworks, Akase gathered everyone in the living room after lunch. He had something to say.
I didn't have anything to say. I just wanted everyone here for no reason. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Like, I'm sorry, that was just kind of funny. He had something to say. Why else would he gather everyone here? For fucking no reason.
Just for shits and giggles. There's something I need to tell everyone right now.
Akase was being serious, so no one dared to interrupt him. Ooh. And now this is where we find out all of his secrets, because we're in his route. So now, like, it's big time. I mean, not right the second, but then the way he said that, it's like, are you going to tell everyone you're working for the Information Bureau? Right now? He made eye contact with everyone in the room as he spoke slowly.
To be honest, this is something I've been hesitant to say. I might jump the gun and say something that I shouldn't. I haven't talked about it much, but I'd put together an escape plan. However, it ended in failure.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because of what we know from Futami's route, him trying to escape and everything all those times, so. Again, we wouldn't know that till later, but then when you see it in Futami's route, you're like, yeah, no, that vibes, because that's exactly what he was doing in his own route, you know? His declaration surprised me, and I looked to see if it surprised anyone else, but they didn't seem fazed. They just continued to listen to Akase, and they remained quiet and still.
On top of that, there's someone I don't trust, even though I promised to have faith in everyone here. I thought about coming up with evidence to out them, but I won't play games like that.
My heart began pounding in my chest. Was he gathering evidence for a suspect? Was Akase doing that? What did he mean about not playing games? I looked at Akase, eager to notice something, and I realized that he was smiling with his eyes.
Maybe you're all wondering about how many times I'll make these announcements, but I've learned to deal with things differently, so I'll put it behind me.
Someone in the room gasped, another groaned, someone else finally stopped holding their breath. Akase cut through all of that.
Gathering points to return to our world together makes sense to me. It's our goal and it's something we can't change. Some of you might not agree with me, but I'm not going to change, so keep that in mind.
What does that mean?
Take it any way you want. I'll focus on gathering points. I might seek out more information, but I'm done trying to learn who the traitor is.
Funny being Futami, like, what does that mean?
I'm done trying to suss you out, Futami.
Why are you announcing it? Are you trying to tell the producer that you want preferential treatment?
No, I want to make my stance clear and I want everyone to know about it. That's all. From now on, I won't take part in doubting or betraying anyone. It'll be the exact opposite. If you need help, tell me. I'm happy to cooperate with anyone who needs it. That's all.
And you want us to agree with you to do the same?
I already told you, some of us might be on a different page, so I won't force anything on anyone here. To be honest, I was hoping you'd join, but I'm really just doing this for myself. I don't want to lose sight of who I am.
I think I understand. Chigasaki was the first to agree. He's usually quite timid, so I was surprised to hear him be the first to speak. I don't like second-guessing everyone while trying to expose what they're thinking. I feel like that's exactly what the producer wants. I find it helpful that Akase is stating it so clearly. It puts me at ease. Oh, so is she the kind of person who would jump off a bridge if everyone else was doing it? No, because everyone else would stab Futami, but he didn't, see? So, could say that. There's definitely, Chigasaki's getting a little more intriguing as we do this. Like, because I mean, we spend more time with him in this, I don't want to say route, but I mean like the information team subsection, I guess.
Don't be so mean about it. He's just saying he agrees with Akase. In that sense, I'm the same. Huh.
Hey, you two?
That's not really an issue. We all live together here, so I don't want things to get hostile.
I haven't changed my mind about thinking of everyone as being on the same side. I thought that was the best moment to speak up. How was my intention from the start, so I took advantage of the situation. I believe in everyone. I always have and I always will. If we lived together, I'd prefer that we all get along. I see. Seeing how the information gathering team agrees on this issue, trying to find the traitor now would mean that we're on our own.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It'll simply change how we act thanks to your little declaration. I also want to get along with everyone. I don't like fighting.
Well, Hygie, it makes sense for you. You're fine just the way you are. See, and everybody blows like, you're fine. You're cool, whatever. See, like, Jesus! So sus! Look, I hate fighting as much as the next guy, but we really do have a traitor among us. Mutual trust. That's a hard one for me. I also intend on saving points to get out of here, but I don't intend to blindly cooperate, and I can't agree with Akase's stance completely. I also can't agree completely. I respect your decision to trust everyone, and I hope that I can do the same. While it's important that we cooperate with each other, we shouldn't let our guard down too much, says the man who's, like, the fuck, okay. Listen. I'll do as you wish, but I don't tend to trust anyone. It's crazy to join hands with a traitor.
Well, especially because you only have one left. Oh, Ibana, snap. I'm sorry, sweetie, but like, oh, we don't know your secret yet. But I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point. But damn, sweetie, shh. You only have one hand, so I get it. You don't want to give up the last one you got.
I only have one.
It's not, and Chigasaki only has one leg to stand on. I'm so wrong. Oh god.
Yeah, we can all do our own thing. I hope we can all get along though, Ibana. What do you want me to say to that?
And with that, the conversation was over. Ibana's so fucking angry. I love it. Most people who weren't part of the information team didn't all agree with Akase's stance, but the conversation still felt meaningful. It helped me figure out how everyone else feels. That's more than enough. After everyone else left the living room, the information team stayed behind to talk.
We aren't going to change our current method, but I want to put a little bit more focus on the dramas.
Meaning?
We'll research the trends of the dramas to find a way to get more points. That way we can accumulate points faster. It's a good idea to reference past episodes or use the Arcadians. Once we get the hang of it, I think things will start to go well.
Chigasaki took a punishment last time. Now what should we do if there's a drama that's hard to participate in?
Well, we have to research that too. Suspense and mysteries often have murders, and there are also dangerous dramas. We have to figure out a way to avoid that stuff. Might be unavoidable, but if we can find a way, all the better. I'm sure there are others like Chigasaki and Seino who don't want to hurt anyone, and those kinds of issues will cost us points. Sorry. Feel bad for saying this, but your punishment really helped us figure this out, Chigasaki. Look, if our focus is on gathering points, this problem's something that must be dealt with.
I didn't think you'd talk about my failure like that.
You apologize too much. I just like it when people rely on me. You can do it more. Oh, you can do it more with your leg and all.
I don't know why my brain couldn't comprehend that sentence. Well, yeah, I sure will. I think this is the first time anyone clearly declared their own path. If I... It's a random I there.
If I didn't do it, I'd lose sight of myself. Aren't you the same way?
I hesitate. There are some things I won't compromise on, but that often depends on the person's attitude. Well, never mind me. Going forward, the team needs to focus on gathering information for dramas, right?
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
And then I'll go to the library today. And there are plenty of materials there, and there's also some data I want to look into.
What kind of data?
It's one of the past episodes, and there's too much static noise on it. If I can clear that up, we might find some clues.
Static noise?
What's wrong?
Nothing. Hey, can you tell me a bit more about that data this evening? I think I can do something about it.
Really? Sure thing. I'll go check. I'll check when I go to the library.
Got it. I'll go and talk to the Arcadians. There are a lot of them at the park, so I'll go there.
Doing legwork, I see.
Chigasaki, Seina, would you like to come with? Chigasaki, your leg's messed up, so someone should be around to help.
No, I can still walk with the cane. Should I go to the park after all?
Nah, it was just a suggestion. If you want to go somewhere else, go ahead.
See, sorry. I'll go with Akase then. I still don't want to go alone, so it's a big help.
Alright, then let's go. We'll share the information gathered today in the evening.
Sure. And then let's meet again tonight. Yeah, let's do that.
Sena,
Upon arriving at the park, we started to prepare to talk to the Arcadians. Akase turned to me. He was thinking of something.
are you still afraid of the Arcadians?
I think my fear of them has been lessened by a lot. I felt reluctant to go near them when I thought they weren't human. Interacting with them is still confusing.
I see.
Is something wrong?
No, it's just that Chigasaki obviously doesn't like Arcadians. You can tell from today's conversation. He lost his leg during a punishment game that took place in this park. It's natural he wouldn't want to come here.
Oh, now that you mention it.
Well, it's not a problem because I can just do more. Sena, you can just do whatever you're capable of. Wait, I got it!
Got what?
How about you jot down notes on my conversations with the Arcadians? I might forget some things as I continue to talk.
I can do that. That's great.
Okay then, I'll talk, you write.
Yeah. He looked so dependable when he went to approach the Arcadians. He doesn't show fear no matter who he talks to, and he's also considerate in many ways. The information that Akase got from the Arcadians completely filled up the screen of the bangle. Although I knew that not all of it would turn into useful clues. This is amazing. I was impressed as I watched Akase.
Then you don't watch every single drama. Do you always give up points if you do watch? Not exactly. If it is interesting, I'll give points. If it is boring, I sometimes subtract them. Subtract? You can even give negative points? Huh, I didn't know that. I normally don't do that. If it is that boring, I usually just stop watching. I see. Thanks for telling me that. Let's talk about dramas again. Sure thing. Oh, by the way,
Akase then held out his hand to the Arcadian.
do you know what a handshake is? I've seen it in the dramas. You just put your hands together like this, right?
The male Arcadian put his hand on Akase's, and I gasped a little. Although the handshake looked ordinary, the Arcadian's hand was a projected image. The hand that Akase shook was actually part of a formless creature that looked like mud. The sensation differed, too.
Yep, I've been wanting to do that. Thank you.
But he smiled and bid farewell to the Arcadian. After seeing him off, Akase smiled at me despite the shock on my face.
That felt strange. It was squishy, but our skin didn't stick to each other or anything. That's fine. Like, it's fine. How do, like, it's weird that she's like, it's just a projected image, so it feels different.
How do you know? You haven't touched them. So, like, I mean, yeah, that's the point that he just came back. Oh, wow, it doesn't feel like a normal human hand. But, like, it's weird that she knew that before that came out. So, I feel like that's a little loophole in the writing, but not a big deal because it came out 2 seconds later. But also, you're not, I mean, I guess we're not real, we're just data, and yet, so technically all the pain we feel isn't real pain because we don't have a body to actually feel pain. Like, so it's strange that we can feel the fake Arcadian, like their real squishiness, like their mud form, and not a real hand because they're making us feel pain. And like if someone touches you, you can feel their hand on you, even though you're just data and you don't have a body or like actual nerve endings to feel things. So it's kind of strange that it's really odd how this works. But I guess it's part of like the human brain and like your consciousness, I guess. Like, you know what a solid object feels like. So even though you're not seeing anything there, you can feel it when it is a solid object. Even though you're just data, there's something about, I know how this feels. So you like feel like, do you just think that you're feeling a solid object? Even though if you touch it, you're like, I feel nothing because I don't have nerve endings to actually feel anything. It's really weird how this works. Anyway, I'm overthinking it. I don't think you're supposed to overthink it that much, but I do find it interesting that, like, okay, whatever. We still, because of the bangle, whatever, we still think we're real. We can still feel things the way we would normally feel it, but when you touch the grass, it feels like grass. It's just a projected image. It's not really grass, but it feels like grass. So why would the Arcadians not feel like people if they're, Why is that like the thing that doesn't feel like real? You know what I mean? Like, sure, you're projecting a wall, like a sky onto a wall. Yeah, when you touch it, it's going to feel like a wall. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But, like, you're projecting grass onto a cement floor, and then when we touched it, it felt like grass, though. You could feel the wind. That's not real. So why do the Arcadians not feel like people when you touch them? A little bizarre. Anyway. Squishy. I grimaced thinking about their true forms, but tried to focus on the task at hand. Akase then laughed one more time.
You're so shocked, but you still finished the notes. That's admirable.
No, you were working hard at it, so I have to at least write things down.
I'm fine. I'm used to it anyway.
Used to it.
And I'm just talking to them while you have to write down the important parts. It's a huge help.
It's nice to hear, but still, most of the Arcadians don't seem to know the details of the Otherworld stream. They watch it every day, so I thought they'd know more about it.
They probably never questioned it. They simply watch the streams, that's it. I thought maybe one of them would know what the director or producer usually does, or maybe that they'd be interested in that. They also don't think anything about how the other cast members until now have all died.
Actually, they enjoyed that. I assumed they would, but seeing it directly makes me...
I wonder why they'd think that way. While they take the shape of... While they take the shape of humans, maybe they have no emotions. Or... No, there's no point in conjecture. We just have to ask them directly. They can try to delve deeper into it.
Oh. I grabbed onto Akase as he rushed off to look for another Arcadian.
What's up, Sena?
I know how you feel, but you seem to be rushing things. I remembered when he spoke to another Arcadian when he mentioned the past Otherworld stream. Akase made a similar expression. It was like he felt impatient, even irritated. The way Akase questioned the Arcadian then made him seem like a different person. But he's not like that at any other time. How about we do it another time? It's getting dark right now.
Well, yeah, because, like, and this kind of... Again, we know the impatience and whatever about it in him,
like, when we did Futami's route. Like, he got impatient and he was constantly breaking rules, and then he's freaking out, and Yochi's like, stop, man, simmer down, you know? So... And he was getting really impatient then. Like, his impatience, like, ramped up a lot. I think because... Actually, I don't quite remember if... I think he was already getting, like, punishments or negative points and getting in trouble and stuff like that in the common section of the cleaning team. Or did it really only happen once you got into Futami's route? I can't remember, because I know we just did Tomose's before this, but again, it's been weeks. So, like, and sometimes I don't remember what happened in the common branch or what happened in a specific route. But anyway, we do know that Akase got definitely very impatient, and that's why he was getting penalized and all that stuff and ended up at a dead end because of Futami, you know? So it makes sense that we're starting to see it here. You know?
Yeah, it's only a little more. I'll ask about the past cast members, and then...
There's no need to push yourself so hard. Rushing through the questions doesn't mean that you'll get a good answer in return. I want to go back. Seeing through my prepared excuse, Akase softened his expression.
I see. I guess you're right. There's no point in rushing through it.
I'm sorry. I probably sound arrogant right now.
That's not true. There are fewer Arcadians around right now anyway.
After he spoke, I looked around and saw there were less people. I recalled that I never saw any Arcadians at night, so maybe they returned home during the evening.
My little sister wants to go home, so it's time to go.
I'm not your little sister. I'm the eldest in my family.
I know.
He placed my hand in his, and he guided me forward. Even though he said he knew, he was completely treating me like a little sister.
which is, going to get to her because she's like, you're treating me like a little sister, and I hate that because I kind of have a thing for you. I often lead my younger sister in the same way by hand. So this is how it feels to be treated like a child. You don't look too satisfied. Would you prefer this then? There. He patted me on the head to tease me. Felt like that crossed a line for me. Kase, we're only a year apart, so we're not that different. But you do feel like an older brother. I like how she's gonna, God, you're treating me like a kid. I'm only a year younger than you. And I want to my eyes glance slowly. I'm staring at her, but I'm looking out, my face is turning to Tomose and being like, is this how you feel every time she treats you like? Yeah, okay, alright, that's what I'm thinking. Tomose's over there in the corner like, the fuck? It's exactly how you treat me! Why don't you get it? Because he's like, treat me like a man! And she's like, whatever, Tomose! And now she's getting mad. I'm like, wow, how the turntables. Jesus Christ. And it's actually funnier when you have the Tomose route where she's like, what? Oh, you're just a year younger than me. Like, you're so immature. And like, he's like, treat me like a man, god damn it. And like, then the next route is, why are you treating me like your little sister? What the fuck? We're only a year apart. Oh. I can't fault the game for that. I think that's a very funny twist here. Game's like, see? Now she knows what it feels like, sorta. But she's not going to get that realization, because for one, we already did Tomose's route, and two, Akase's not treating us like a little sister for us to go, oh, now I get what Tomose's saying, but it is funny for us. There's no need to act reserved in front of me. You can be friendly with me. Sure, but Akase, you're so dependable, and I can't help but be more reserved. A compliment in this situation, huh? That's so like you, Seina. We continued chatting, but Akase kept his hand on my head. He smiled faintly as he became quiet. Akase? Oh, sorry. I was feeling out of it. See, you are tired. You're working hard and talking to them. Nah, I'm just wondering why it feels so calming doing this. Calming? Oh well, I guess we should go back. I wonder what's for dinner. I saw ingredients for hamburger steak in the fridge. Really? Awesome. You sure love hamburger steak. I felt a spring in my heart, though, while we chatted and headed back to the lodging. Walking back on the nearly deserted path didn't feel lonely next to Akase. Sorry. We'll have to do this again because it took too long to get back. No, thank you for your efforts this late. We didn't pick a specific time. And besides, we have no way of knowing what time it is anyway. Not having clocks is so inconvenient. The position of the sun can give us a general estimate, but can watch or make something for us? We've tried it a few times before, but it never really works out. It seems to be slow. Was it a digital clock? I tried digital and analog. I thought that I could just adjust a spring and... Oh, I thought that I could adjust a spring-wound clock. But those things are actually complicated inside. I see. Well, maybe we don't have to care about telling time so much, since it isn't absolutely necessary. Also try a sundial. Those don't work during bad weather, but it isn't a big deal as we think it is. So, can we get to the main point? Sam and I did what we planned. Yazai, did you get to the library? Yeah, I watched episodes from past seasons. As I expected, the older the episode, the further... Yeah. Oh, as I expected, the older the episode, the faster the cast members dropped out. Drop out? Meaning dead end? That's right. They become more timid and their acting worsens over time. The rules of the drama don't change much, and we might not notice the differences, but I'm sure the improvements in the environment affect us. There isn't much inconvenience outside of the dramas, so I think we're getting by as cast members thanks to that. So they do desire to improve the conditions for cast members of the Otherworld stream. I'd never thank them for that, though. Anything else? There are credits after every drama's last episode. The cast names don't appear familiar, but I learned who their sponsor was. Oh, the sponsor's name is in the credits? Yes, and because we can't connect to the network, I can't verify it. But the name was... Eureka?
Eureka Toga? Okay. Eureka Toga. Eureka Toga? Wasn't that a fortune teller? I remember seeing that person on TV. Eureka? 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 I have no idea where the accents go in names here. That's probably the same person. That's a unique name, so I remembered it. And there were some other names a note.
Even someone famous that goes on TV would become the sponsor? But... But...
About what?
Tell you the truth, when I saw the director, I had the same feeling that I'd seen him somewhere else before. It's not just the looks, but the way he talks and his habits, too.
But the director is like a fucking robot, though. I mean, obviously, like, what the face looks like could be a mask, but, like, when you see his wrists, they're like ball joints. But that doesn't mean that someone's not controlling the robot, but... Or, for some reason, that's just supposed to be, like, an extension of his gloves and it looks like... But you know what I'm saying? Like, when you see his arms, they look like ball-jointed wrists. Like, they don't look like human wrists. So, like, I just assumed he was a robot. Plus, also, my god, the tiny snatched waist. The man looks like a robot. But it is interesting that, like, he could be being controlled by someone. You know what I mean? Like, the director might not just be a robot. Because to be fair, that's a very intelligent AI that can interact with people, speak the way you want it to, and just process and dialogue like a normal human. You know what I mean? With the... Because, like, I mean, AI has come a long way where it can speak, but, like, sometimes there is a difference between reading lines, and there's a difference between reading lines! There's a difference between reading lines? Like, depending on how you say things, where you put the accentuation, where you put the emphasis, like, the tone of voice you put into it, that, like, I mean, granted, we're, like, 100 years in the future or some shit, so maybe AI is way fucking better than the ones we have now, where even though, like, oh, they don't have robot voices, but they still sound slightly off. You know what I mean? So, like, huh. But that doesn't mean that someone's not controlling this robot, and it's just, you know, it's their voice, and, like, it'd be no different than if you had, like, if you were doing, like motion capture stuff, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're doing the thing, so the hand waving and the gestures are somebody that's just controlling the robot, you know what I mean? Could be. And if that's the case, then is the director actually another person that's here? So do we have three? Is that why we found out Futami's the sponsor? Because then there's a director and then a producer is also two of the locked route? Is Gyobu the director? Look, if anybody here was going to be the director, well, I would have pegged Iochi, because Iochi's very... The way I've read Iochi is like, well, we're a little fabulous, so of course there the director is a little over the top. You know what I mean? But... Well, Haiji's either really good at pretending and is the actual director somehow, which would be kind of fucking weird, but hiding his true personality and whatever, that'd be kind of interesting. Or it's Gyobu. That is the one out of the sus people. I'm like, I would peg you more the director, I guess. Like, if somebody here is the director, I mean, I guess that could work too. Listen, Gyobu and Haiji are the most sus fucking people to me. But, and I never really thought, I mean, I guess maybe we've thought before, like, is the director among us too? Who knows, you know? But when everybody's with us, and, like, we've confronted the director, you can't have anyone here controlling the director. Although, it is interesting, because on those times, how is the director communicating with the sponsor or the producer? Like, in all the other times where we've popped up, like, Iochi's popped in, remember, and was like, yeah, I want you to talk to them and give them this message, blah, blah, blah. How is the director talking to the producer and sponsor when they're in the room with us? Unless it's because, well, technically, we're just data, we're not real people. So even though Futami's standing there like, oh, what's up, guys? Think we'll get a good answer? He can actually be having a conversation with the director and the sponsor, because you can have a split consciousness as being the sponsor or the producer. You know what I'm saying? Because also, they've got to be able to get in and out, like, the sponsors getting in and out, getting items. How are they doing that? Where, like, okay, Akase, we saw him sneaking out. We'd see Futami sneaking out ever. But we never did. But we also don't know. We think we're really here. We don't know we're just digital data. We don't know that our bodies are on Earth and we're somehow here. Our consciousness, whatever. This is some kind of a representation of our body, but it's not real. That's why it feels like we feel pain, but we really don't, technically. We don't have stab wounds because our body's not here. Doesn't mean, you know what I mean? So, like, the sponsor, the producer, and possibly the director could actually, I mean, because they know about this, Futami can just peace out. He's in his room and then he disappears and whatever, but they have a different way of interacting with this world than we do, because we think, I got kidnapped and brought here. So every path, we think we got kidnapped and brought here, that this is our physical body. We don't know until the end that our physical body's not here, but obviously the producer and the sponsor know that. So they would interact with this world differently than us because they know the ins and outs of it. They know how to magically teleport. Because we're like, they teleport us. That's weird, isn't it? I mean, I know we're in the future, but that's strange because we haven't put those pieces together, so that's interesting. Interesting. Alright, anyway, alright. Do we think? But it is also interesting because they've never brought up, even in Futami's route, which again is a later one, that the director is someone here. So, anyway. So anyway, it's not just the looks, but the way he looks, but it talks in his habits. It's not just the looks. The looks, though, but he's got a, unless it's like a popular character or something on a TV, you know, where you're like, oh! Right, it's that Danganronpa game. It's Monokuma. That brought it. You know what I mean? Like, so they used a likeness of something. Because you can't possibly see the director and think it looks like anybody. Did overreact in ways, and it's also distinct. It's like the MC for a TV show. Well, I mean, yeah. Kind of is the MC for the other one. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, that's it. I get the feeling I've seen him somewhere on TV before. And then I'll try to research that. In the library, we should have some data on TV programs, too. Okay, that's interesting. Especially if the information comes back and it's like, it's from 30 years ago, right? When there were 2 moons and before the moon base thing blew up and all that shit, that's what they talked about, and then we're here. You know what I mean? And then that could lead into, well, the Arcadians used to be people that lived here and trying to get their humanity back type of a thing. That could lead into that. And that's why they picked the director. The image that they picked for the director is from the show that they remember watching. You know what I mean? It's like a fond memory, you know? Isn't there like... Well, okay, it's like Ghostbusters. Don't think of anything. You think of the Stay Puft. I started to think of the most innocuous thing ever, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and then it destroys fucking New York. You know what I'm saying? It's similar to that. You're like, huh, oh, I know. This is this thing I remember from my childhood or before I become digital data floating around in this moon base when it blew up or whatever the shit. And that's where the director's from. So, like an old TV show. It'd be like you're, like, 50 years from now, you're in this thing and you're like, this guy looks familiar. And it's like, well, it's Dick Van Dyke because we grew up watching him on Nick at Night and shit. You know what I mean? Or Diagnosis Murder or Mary Poppins. Everybody knows who he is. But, like, in about 50 years, there's going to be people who have no fucking clue who Dick Van Dyke is. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you right now would be like, oh, yeah, no, I know who he is. So you're the one controlling it because, you know, whatever, you've been dead for 30 years and then you come back as digital data and you're like, I gotta get my humanity back, and that's the thing you think of? Anyway, whatever. It's interesting that they're bringing this up, though, so. Yeah, please. Oh, yes, please. Oh, yeah, about the data with the bad static noise that I mentioned earlier. What do you mean, Well, about that, my guess was wrong. Or should I say I lost it? I honestly doubted it myself, too. What? Sorry, please forget what I said earlier about that. What are you talking about? I'll research it myself, but... Oh, well, that's it for me. Hey, your turn, Chigasaki. This makes no fucking sense. About the data with the bad static noise. So Dazai was like, there was something about static. He's the one who mentioned it and said he was going to go to the library to try to research it and see if he could clean it up. And then Akase was like, yeah, I might be able to help with that. And then now Dazai's like, yeah, about that. And Shigesaki's like, I guess I was wrong or I lost it. But Dazai never brought it back for him to do, and we were with Akase, so we never touched it. So this kind of doesn't make fucking sense right now. Like, I don't quite get what's happening there, because it doesn't make sense with the earlier conversation, and then... Okay, anyway. As for me, I'm sorry to say I didn't get great results, but I did fill out some blank parts of the map. Chigasaki sent us the most up-to-date map as he talked. The map had general locations of everything, but as Chigasaki mentioned, there were still some blank spots. I also looked into what happens at the destinations we're teleported to during the dramas. Destinations? For example, today, Iochi and Haiji took part in a drama together, right? The stage for that was on the street. Everyone knows that we're teleported to someplace in Arcadia, but I wondered if we were truly sent to those spots during the drama.
Oh, meaning you went to the actual place where the screen showed? What's the result?
Arrived at the same location as the stage. I didn't find Iochi or Haiji anywhere.
The time of day in the drama is sometimes different from the actual time. It may look the same, but maybe it's a different place.
But again, it's because we're not real, so like they can put us in any time and place. Interesting. But there are never any Arcadians around when they're teleported for the dramas. That's all I have. And then let's summarize everything and share this with everyone. I jotted down simplified notes of what everyone said and then turned off the Bangle screen. I don't know when it started, but I ended up playing the role of the secretary for the info team and sharing my notes with everyone. Akase's next words ended the discussion.
Alright, good work everyone. See you tomorrow.
Good work. Let's do this again tomorrow.
Good work.
We said our goodbyes and left Dazai's room.
Akase, you got a minute?
I saw Dazai stop Akase out of the corner of my eye right before the door was closed.
Like, the fuck are you talking about, man?
I then returned to my room and noticed something as I reread the notes. Oh, speaking of which, when Dazai mentioned Pirika Toga? Let's go with Pirika Toga. I think he said there was another name that caught his eye. I should confirm with him and share that too. Eavesdrop. Dazai, there's something I need to ask you.
Who is it? Oh.
Why are you opening the door? Well, just because it's my room, it... Behind the open door, Akase and Dazai froze up. I heard a faint voice at the same time. Was that the voice of a girl?
Oh, Usina.
The voice I heard was from a video. Dazai held his hand over his bangle to stop it. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder if Akase is looking for someone too, because we know that Iochi was looking for their brother. But I wonder if Akase is too, even though he's like, nope, I'm an only child. Are you really though? Are you looking for a cousin or something? You know what I mean? Because maybe that's the name Dazai recognize, or the fact that they're watching a video instead of being like, oh, hey, pause the video. I'm like, oh, we were just checking out this, but it seems like they're going to try to hide it. You know what I mean? Interesting. Anyway. Sorry, were you in the middle of something?
Not really. We should abstain to see it. No right to keep quiet about it.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to hide it from me, but alright.
But I think it's fine. It's Sana after all.
Me?
You remember when the director was explaining about the Otherworld stream? They also talked about the dead end. Remember when we were shown the past cast member who met the dead end?
Past cast member? You mean Yuki's?
She was your friend, right? I found that scene in a past episode.
I opened my eyes widely. Yuki was my friend from the next class over. I had completely forgotten about her existence until I saw the video on her dead end. I'm glad they're bringing this back up because it's one of those things that I want to say they haven't mentioned yet. This again is the only, technically the real second route. But it's important to keep bringing this up because again, we forget that people exist. So right now, my parents have no fucking clue I exist. My memory that supposedly existed was erased by the Otherworld stream and I forgot about her. Video of Yuki meeting her dead end. And that's the thing they never explain, because, like, in Tomose's route, we do go back home, but we don't talk about, nothing comes up about, yeah, we were gone all summer, and, like, did people forget that we existed for those few months? Was everyone looking for us? They don't bring that up. Probably because it's not they want to tell you that later, maybe. But it's weird that they never mention anything about it. And you're like, aside from, we missed summer. Uh-huh, okay, yeah. So, yeah. But also, cops weren't called. It was like, nobody knew you were gone. They forgot about you for those few months. Like, what's the deal with that? And again, I get they're not going to maybe tell you in the first route, but it is one of those, like, you are going to explain that, though, at some point, right? Not just, like, leave us in the dark, but... Anyway, the video of Yuki meeting her dead end. Okay. Not that I didn't think of going through past episodes to find her in there. I considered watching more footage to prove she existed. But... scared. Hearing about it made my legs shake. Fear overcame my heart just thinking about the moment that my friend was erased. That's why I avoided thinking about it. At least that's what it seemed like in retrospect.
And I suppose confirming it can be cruel. You sure you don't want to change your mind?
I'd looked down for a moment, but looked up again. Akase and Dazai both appeared to be worried. Okay, maybe that's why they were like,
Don't show it to her because she knows this girl.
Alright, okay, alright, cool. Seeing their expressions made me feel even more pitiful. I forgot about my friend. If I said I was afraid of seeing her die, it would have been disrespectful to Yuki. If Yuki was forgotten by many people, including her friends and family, after being erased through the dead end, then I should at least try and remember her for everyone else who's forgotten her. I'll watch it. Please let me confirm it.
Alright, but don't push yourself too hard.
I mean, it's not like we brutally see her die, she just disappears.
Which is weird, but I mean, it's kind of like,
we were talking to Futami and then he poofed out of existence and to go into the thing, and you're like, okay. It's really no different from that. We're not actually seeing a brutal murder. It's not like we're seeing a snuff film here. Technically, I guess it kind of is one, but it's just like, she's just like, gone. Poof, gone. And it's like, all right, we know what that means, but it's not as horrible as seeing her being, like, ripped apart by buzzards or some shit, you know? Akase sat me down next to Dazai. Although he seemed a little hesitant, Dazai resumed the pause video. I'm so happy I can talk to you like this again. Yuki was seen standing in the classroom. In front of me, I saw a hologram of an immobile figure. Maybe it was her co-star in the drama. With a shaky voice, she continued her act. She seemed to lack confidence. That makes me so happy. She no longer spoke in the fun-loving way that I remembered. Her uniform was in tatters and her hair was a mess. Her left hand was holding her dangling right arm. It might have been taken in a punishment game. Oh, her eyes, too. I didn't notice at first. Her eyes were unfocused and wandered about. She must have been blind in both eyes. Good God, that's terrible. Okay, this is the part that's horrible. Not seeing her just disappear. Seeing her literally in tatters and, like, blind and missing a limb and, like, all this shit. It's like, that's the hard part. Oh, then tomorrow I cast her eyes down and choked on those words. Ugh. Yuki wiped away tears that already dried as she continued her act. Because there's a hologram there, nobody else is there. She's having to do this on her own. I can't do this. I can't do anything alone. I can't. I just can't. At that moment, I understood what she meant. Yuki must have been the very last one left among the 10 cast members. Again, though, I could see the sponsor, like, what? They never, and maybe they'll explain that in one of the locked routes at the end, but they didn't in Futami's route. What the fuck happens to the producer and the sponsor in situations like this where nobody else has made it out alive? How, like, Futami purposely kind of fucked with Akase to get him into a dead end because that was more exciting. So I could see the sponsor being crazy enough, and when nothing's going good, they start fucking up to get punishment games and whatever to make things more interesting because they're a psychopath, basically. Okay, sure. You know, we're seeing a little bit more with Futami now than we did. I mean, obviously, we saw the total result of that in his route, but it makes a little more sense if you see sprinkled in as it goes. But, like,
Even just him grabbing the knife and stabbing himself and then enjoying it, you're like, the fuck? So, yeah, he would probably... So I could see the sponsors risking themselves and doing that to make things more exciting. But why would the producer be doing that too? Is the producer, like, even more of a fucking nutbag than the sponsor? Because it seems more like, oh no, like they're the cult leader and the sponsor is like the fanatic who's like, the cult leader is everything! We must sacrifice! I will chop off my limb for them! And the cult leader's like, fucking idiots. You know what I mean? Like, you know? But, we'll find out, but it's something to think about. Something that's gonna, like, just, it's still, every time this comes up, it's like, what the fuck happened to them? I need an explanation. I hope they don't leave this where you get to the end and you're like, that still never explains how the producer and sponsors and the other ones hit dead ends. You know? And the sponsor is obviously different. Maybe not each time, but, like, maybe that's why we can't see the last stream, because one, Ibana was there. But if Ibana was there, Futami couldn't have been there because he would have recognized him. You know what I mean? So, like, so then the sponsor has to be different every time. But then how are they such a fanatic? They don't explain that. I mean, again, maybe these are things that come out at the end, but it's one of those things that just, like, is in the back of my mind. Like, if Ibana was here before and lost his arm and he came back to get it because he's been on here before, the sponsor and the producer cannot be the same people because he would recognize them. You know what I mean? And you can't be like, well, yeah, actually I know who they are, but I'm not telling anybody because I want my arm back. You know what I mean? Because the only way for us to have gotten our use of our voice back or Chigasaki to get his leg back is to reenact that drama that you fucked up. So how is Ibana gonna get his arm back? Unless it's like, oh, didn't they say at some point you have to get a certain amount of points or something like that? Too, you could get a certain amount of points. So, like, they make it seem like in all these you have to reenact the drama, but obviously if you left the stream and came back, you can't reenact the drama where you lost a limb. So you'd have to, like, earn points to get it back. I mean, maybe that's the loophole or something for that. But the producer and the sponsor can never be the same, but, like, you're telling me every single time the producer and sponsor... But last time people went back. Unless they look different. You know what I mean? Because we're not real, so Futami might not look like Futami. You know? He might, because maybe the sponsor is a new person. But again, how does Futami get to be a psycho and a fanatic for this producer if they've never done this before? I'm really curious how that fucking works. Because I feel like there's so many, this is like Swiss cheese here with all the holes. And again, maybe we're filling them in as we go, but it's one of those things that it's like, you have to be able to make this make sense, otherwise it's going to be, like, worse when you get to the end, and you're like, there's still all these fucking holes that make no damn sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway. Those are all the plot holes. I'm like fucking Charlie Day over here with, like, oh my god, all these lines and this shit, look at all the holes, and it's driving me crazy, but anyway. Yuki must have been the very last one left among the 10 cast members. She witnessed the dead ends of the other 9 and survived until the end. That's why she was acting this drama out alone. Does that mean you're refusing to appear? I don't care. I'm not going to listen to you. I don't want to stay in this world any longer. Suddenly, the video stopped. I saw Dazai's hand move out of the corner of my eye, Jesus. But I didn't know where it was moving to. Sometime during the video, I'd become unable to look directly at it. Tears blurred my vision, and I couldn't continue. I said I should be the one to remember her. Let's stop this. You shouldn't force yourself to watch this. Yeah, sorry, Sina. As I touched my back gently, his kindness was in vain. My tears wouldn't stop. I'm sorry. I'll have Ibana watch this video. He also said she was a classmate. Right. Sina, can you stand up? I'll walk you back to your room.
I wiped my tears as I nodded and stood up. I can still wipe my tears like this. I still have tears to shed. Yuki couldn't even cry anymore. This was the first time I felt fortunate that I could cry. That's sad. After crying so much, my eyes were swollen. I felt better after wiping my tears away, and I wouldn't have to think about it if I went to bed. I don't think I can fall asleep. Yuki's voice played back in my mind. I can't do anything alone. I can't. People face despair, they can change so much. The Yuki in my memories was replaced by that sight. No, no, don't. You have to remember, the last time I hung out with Yuki, I shouldn't forget that smile of hers. But I shouldn't forget about the Yuki who tried to fight against the otherworld stream till the end. That was the least I could do as her friend. It felt so painful and so sad that tears started to fall again. I should get something to drink. I can't get my thoughts together at all right now. Right when I entered the kitchen, I heard a voice. I don't know who's saying. I'm assuming I would say it's Akase and someone else, and I would say Akase and Iochi, maybe? I'll just pretend this is Akase because it's his route, so you think he's going to be part of this anyway.
I never expected anything like that. Besides,
the tone was serious, so I froze in my tracks. One of them held up a hand to stop the conversation. Then both of them looked at me.
Yeah?
What did I say? Okay. I feel like that's not I'm like, hell yeah, I called it! But I feel like it was kind of obvious. And also, this is another, fucking pin in the Iochi and Akase are fucking partners. That's, I feel like if they go down the route and that's not the case, that's crazy, because this is exactly where this feels like. You know what I mean? So.
Oh.
Hi, Sana. It's rare to see you up this late. I was thinking of getting something to drink. It was obvious that I'd interrupted something between them. But I wonder what they were talking about in such a serious tone. Although I have my suspicions, I drank a little water before leaving the kitchen. Good night. See you tomorrow. Yeah, good night. They were talking about something I shouldn't listen in on? But I couldn't make out their words. I headed back to my room and I heard footsteps following me.
Sana.
Akase. I thought he'd reproach me for listening to his conversation with Iochi, but it wasn't that. I didn't listen to the conversation. I walked around the corner and I heard you talking. I wasn't standing there eavesdropping. I'm like, oh, hi, oh. I heard a sentence in that conversation as I walked around the corner. You can't really yell at me for that. How dare you listen to my conversation? How dare you have a fucking private conversation in a public space? Jackass. Go in the bathroom like normal people. Anyway.
Still can't sleep? Have you been up the entire time?
Asai looked at my face worriedly as he took another step closer. I was just doing some thinking.
Sorry.
Huh? There's nothing you need to apologize for.
No, it's my fault. For that video, Dazai only called me to his room so that you wouldn't have to see it. But I recommended that you watch it, so it's my fault.
That's not true. I chose to watch it myself.
Even so, if I asked about it in a different way, you may have felt differently about it. I thought you might be crying again after that. I didn't consider that. So I'm sorry.
The silence of the night fell on the hallway again. Because there wasn't a single sound, I could hear Akase's breath.
I sometimes wonder what I'm doing causing you so much trouble. I know, if you can't sleep, how about we chat?
Chat?
It can be about anything. You can just listen to me if you want. I want to talk until I get sleepy. What do you say?
Akase implied that I was doing him a favor, but I could tell right away that it was for me. He cautiously glanced at my red eyes and looked away. Listen, he may be treating us like you think like a little sister, but it's still nice. Then, just until you get sleepy.
Alright, I'm sure to wake you right up, though.
His cheerful expression was a lifesaver.
And then I kicked the ball as hard as I could and it bounced off the post and smacked him right in the face.
Kansei's voice echoed in the room as he talked about fun memories. I giggled while listening to them.
But we still scored a point, and he hated me for it.
His stories about soccer were ample. I didn't really know the rules of the sport, but his explanations were easy to understand. I have so many memories of soccer. It's interesting just listening to you.
I just realized it's been mostly about soccer. I've been a huge soccer player since middle school.
I think it's great you have something to delve into. Do you still play?
I don't anymore. I quit soccer after middle school. What about you, Sana? Are you into anything?
All I can think of is handicrafts and making desserts.
I know you're good at cooking and stuff, but handicrafts too? That's amazing.
Oh, but I'm not particularly good at it or anything. I just have some experience with it.
Do you enjoy it?
I think I do. I get a sense of accomplishment when I build something and it comes out right.
That's plenty. I feel despair about myself when I couldn't even sew a button onto my own clothes.
Despair? That's a bit of an exaggeration. Also, listen, you can't be as bad at sewing as fucking Chigasaki is at boiling water.
Well, I couldn't get the button to stick and all the strings were frayed and tangled. Should have taken a photo of that terrible job.
Couldn't help but laugh aloud. Seeing that, Akase laughed in the same way, but suddenly he looked gloomy.
Thanks for laughing. Or are you just humoring me?
Huh? I was surprised at the sudden change in topic, but Akase continued with a little pain in his voice.
Well, with a little encouragement, I can do it like this. Just like how I always have. But in the end, it doesn't solve anything, and you might start feeling as bad as before as soon as I'm gone. It's the first time I've ever felt this helpless, even though I want to help so much.
He was talking about Yuki. He was being considerate so that I wouldn't have to be sad. Seeing that you think this way is enough for me.
I don't think it's enough. I feel like I'm reaping what I sowed for something I put off all this time.
Put off?
Someone I'm indebted to pointed out that my biggest flaw is my arrogant subservience.
Arrogant. Subservience. Two words sound like opposites.
I never heard anyone use those words to describe me, so I laughed it off then. But sometimes it makes me think. I've always been athletic since I was small. I loved soccer and I was good at sports in general. But I wasn't good with academics. I realized it after I graduated middle school and quit soccer. I was terrible at everything else. I wasn't influential enough to move people and didn't have knowledge or experience to be proud of. That's why I tried to fill the void with effort. I think that allowed me to get up into an average level, and at least I can speak in public now.
Just being athletic is plenty amazing to me. But even before that, he put in the effort to obtain something. I was reminded of a few things. I remembered how Akase clearly declared his way of thinking in front of everyone. He passionately tried to communicate with the Arcadians and to also gather information. None of those things were easy to do.
I was told that was my subservience.
Is it really, though? I think what you do is amazing.
I was worried about not being able to do anything, and I'm afraid of not putting in the effort. Maybe that part of me is considered subservient. And expecting that from other people is what makes me arrogant.
He looked at me in an apologetic way.
Zaina, back then I thought that you should try and accept and overcome the death of your friend.
I thought that too.
And I thought you should put in the effort and that it'd be possible if it were me.
He sighed while placing his hand on his head, expressing regret as he continued.
I always expect other people to do the same thing as me. That's the arrogant side of me, I guess.
Kase was convinced I could overcome my friend's death. But I couldn't. Being unable to accept that difference was arrogance. But Akase, here you are apologizing to me. You're worried about me. I'm always depending on you, like when you show your efforts and also do what's necessary. I don't think you're subservient or arrogant. Did I say something wrong?
No, I'm sorry. Part of me was really hoping you'd say something like that. Take what I say seriously and at face value. You try to change yourself instead of blaming others. You try to take everything in a more positive way that's similar to me. And that's why I wanted to apologize to you right now because I was taking advantage of your kindness. Now that I think about it, it's embarrassing.
Huh? Really?
Yeah, I was hoping that I could find the right answer easily and get you back to being all smiles again.
He also worries about things like this. Of course, no one's immune to worries. I thought I'd already known that. This is the second time I've heard him complain. He's always cheerful and acts like a leader, so seeing him complaining was a rare sight. That made him feel much closer to me. He made me smile again, so it's all right. The time I realized it, Akase had cheered me back up again. I now know what Akase was thinking when he recommended that I watch that video. I also understand why he was regretting it so much. And it's still difficult for me to come to terms with that video, but I hope I can one day. Akase is showing me an example of how to do that here.
He actually cheered me up. I have a long way to go to become a hero.
Hero?
Yeah, my goal is to become a hero.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
I know, right?
Akase laughed, but I couldn't tell if he was joking. Maybe he was being serious.
When I was small, I fought a bully at the park. I went home after being beat up so many times, so I thought I had to settle the score. We raced around town and said that whoever gets back faster wins, but that bully took a shortcut to get back faster.
That's cheating.
Right? But when he came back, I was already back at the park. He flipped out.
I can only imagine.
We ended up fist fighting, but I won that too.
I can imagine that too.
And then I kissed that bully. I'm just kidding. Who was it? Some guy from the neighborhood. He was like a cool hero and he complimented me. I thought that was nice. If I could become a hero who protects everyone, it would fit me best.
Like, Mose also wants to... he doesn't want to be a hero, but he wanted to be an actor because we compared him to that hero and like whatever. It's like a little too parallel here. Right. I do think that fits you, Akase. It really does. I mean, Tomose only wants to be a hero to us. That's it. I feel like Akase wants to be like a hero to everyone. There was a time when I also thought being a hero would be nice. I imagine what it would be like.
Hey, then we can become heroes together. We're heroes that protect. You can do it, Sana.
But protecting everyone sounds like a tall order. I don't think I can. I'm having enough trouble protecting myself.
And then, Sana, you can protect me. Don't you think you can do that?
Can I? Akase, you'd probably be able to take care of everything by yourself.
Of course not. Just earlier I tried to cheer you up, but you did it for me instead.
Well, if it's just that, I'll do it. I'll do it anytime. I'll do my best so that you can always smile.
Yeah, I will too. I'll get you and everyone else back to our world safely. It's a promise. Let's meet again once we return to our world.
Akase held out his pinky. A hasty promise. But to Akase, that must have been an important part of the process. Talking about a goal in the future he was working for would help him attain it. He declared that in front of everyone. Yeah, I promise. I repeated that and wrapped my little finger around his, making me feel that future is a little bit closer. Feel that future is a little bit closer. Wow, Jesus Christ. Anyway. Is this like the next, and then the next scene's gonna come up like, after a long conversation with Akase, I climbed into bed and slept soundly. I cried so much and that feeling of sleeplessness completely dissipated. Pain and sadness still remained. But even with that pain in my heart, it was still possible for me to sleep. I understood that in that moment. My little finger still felt slightly warm. Okay. I was like, I just feel like then that, like, that's like just you know what I mean? Like, even though we could have ended there, but we'll end here. So anyway. Oh, I know which drama with Akase and Iochi this is. But anyway, we're going to do that next time. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.